All right. Let's get started with today's session with our opening prayers like we always do. So I'll share my screen and then we will get underway. All right. So good morning, good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to all of you. So let's get underway with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Okay, so Radhe Radhe everyone once again. So let's get started with our Soul Soup segment. So as part of this series, we are going to talk about the power of discernment. That is what we are going to spend a bit of time on. So here we are going to talk about there are two wrestlers. Okay, there are two wrestlers. There's an ongoing battle between these two, which ensues, and that battle ensues or takes place none other than in our head itself. However, these two wrestlers, what are these two wrestlers? Okay, intellect and mind. So you see the battle is not amongst the equals. The intellect seems a little malnutritioned, right? It's like the intellect has come from Somalia and the mind has come from a sumo wrestler from Japan. So it looks like a battle of unequals, and mind overpowers our intellect. So from a discernment standpoint, right, our scriptures say that like Buddhi Yoga, the entire Buddhi Yoga that Lord Krishna has devoted, right, that we are talking in Bhagavad Gita itself is around using your Buddhi. When we talk about Buddhi, that is the intellect part of it, although it is part of our man only, but it is a higher faculty. Yesterday we said the intellect is more subtler than our mind. So that intellect we are talking about, it's more subtle, and that is the decision making. And the whole battle is to empower the intellect so that we reverse the equation. Intellect should be more powerful than your mind. Right now, our mind is more powerful, and intellect needs to be more powerful. So that why? So that the power of discernment we can exercise between right and wrong and between something which is beneficial over pleasurable. So that can only happen when we can empower our intellect and reverse the equation that we currently know. And we say that our mind is more powerful right now, but then we do have our intellect, which we do exercise occasionally. Let's talk about a couple of examples to drive home the point, right? Like, for example, there are very few people who enjoy their professional work. I mean, there might be people. I was certainly not one of those that I derive pleasure from my work alone. I do that. I try to do it as well as I possibly can. But do I derive pleasure from my work? Probably not. And there are a lot of people who don't. But given the choice, instead of going to the office, they would go and or stay at home with their family or play golf or play pickleball or do something about it, right? And they feel joyful on a Friday evening at the thought of having two holidays ahead, right? The last thing you want to tell anybody on a Friday is like people in the meetings, they ask, how are you feeling? Hey, it's Friday finally. And then you tell them, you know what, we are just a couple of days away from a Monday. So that's not a very optimistic way of painting that. So they look forward to Fridays. And then Monday morning is a time that, it's they feel a little dejected. But then even though the mind is disliking the drudgery of going to office, they drag their feet against the desire of the mind and go work for 8 hours a day. Why? Because the intellect kicks in. They go against their mind. That is how the intellect can exercise its power over the mind. And even during the situations in office when it happens. Have you seen anger flowing upwards? Like, for example, the CEO, have you seen a director shouting back at the CEO? It's the other way around. The CEO will shout at the director will shout back, to the manager to the, the lead to the developer, and this is how the process goes. Because our intellect tells us, and then the person will come back home and they will purge all their anger on their wife will shout at the child will let it out on the dog, and that is how the hierarchy goes. It never flows upwards, it is always downwards. Why? Because our intellect knows where to vent anger, and not vent anger in a way or to a person that is not good or beneficial for them. That is why nobody shouts back at the boss. They always shout back at people whom they think they can get away with. So this is where the intellect comes in picture. And so this is the wrestler we need to empower. And we'll continue to talk more about it. Like I said, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has said Buddhi Yoga. That whole chapter is devoted to using this power of faculty, because this discernment that we spoke about is the only thing that separates us from animals. And when the moment we relinquish the intellect's power of discernment between right and wrong, we actually fall to the level of animals. So, for being human, it is imperative, obligatory on us to have that discernment between right and wrong, what is beneficial over pleasurable. And when we don't exercise that, at that time, we have actually made a choice to be like animals. Okay. Now let's get to the shloka, where we'll have more discussion on the topic that we are discussing right now. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आदयन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. Okay, let's take a few hands. 3 maybe.
Radhe Radhe, Riya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः.
Very nice, thank you.
Radhe
Radhe Radhe. Let's take a couple of more hands.
Radhe Radhe, Sam ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Ye sansparshja bhoga dukkhayonya evate adiyantavantah kaunteya nate shulam te buddha. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, it's adyantavantah kanteya na teshu ramate buddha. It's a bit. All right, I see a couple of more hands, so let's quickly take those and then we'll proceed.
Radhe Radhe, Aparna ji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा.
And I
Thank you.
Last one. Let's take one more and then we get started. Yes, Shriramya, good to see you. Go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe. Ye hi sansparshja bhoga dukkhayoनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः.
Very nice. Thank you, Ramya. So this shloka says the pleasures that arise from contact with the sense objects, though appearing as enjoyable to worldly minded people, are verily a source of misery. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end. So the wise do not delight in them. Okay, let's get started then. So here are our senses. We see there are 5 senses, and then in between you see mind as well. Now, Bhagavad Gita itself, like 15.7 says that mana shashthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. So mind is considered as our 6th sense. Okay? So although we have 5 senses, but the governor of our senses, which is our mind, it is also considered as a 6th sense. right? The sixth sense. Now, what happens? Through these senses and the governor of our mind, see, mind has these senses in a subtle form as well. That is why when we sleep, even then we can taste, smell, see, pretty much experience everything. So all these senses, they reside in a subtle form in our mind as well. And that essentially is the part of our subtle body as well. So when we travel, when we do astral travel, basically when we die, we shed this gross body, these senses in the subtle form, they travel along with us. Basically, the mind travels with us along with those, the tendencies that our senses have acquired across this lifetime. It travels across like a subtle body. So nevertheless, so what happens? These senses, they derive pleasure from, what are the things? Let's look at some of these. Honor. When we are bestowed some honor, in fact, we say honorable chief minister, honorable president. So when we get honor, this is something which is very pleasing to our senses. We like respect. Somebody says, wow, well done, and does something about it, there is a tendency to feel good, elated, happy, inflated. So that is something that we derive pleasure from. When people give thumbs up to you, or you get a lot of likes on your Instagram post, we all like all that stuff, right? So honor is something that we go for, that basically is very appealing to our senses, or very palatable to it. And we need to, it is one of the things that our senses crave for. Okay. What else? Praise. We like praise. Anybody here who doesn't like praise? Anybody who likes criticism? So yeah, typically we crave for praise as well. We like it. Now, if I tell you the rule that if somebody praises you, he cuts into your punyas. If you accept it, and somebody criticizes you, accept it, it cuts into your papas, then you will say, okay, don't praise me. You will run away from the praise. And that is a good mindset to have. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Amanena manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Amanena manadena means you don't seek praise, respect people. Instead of seeking respect, it's better to be respectful to others. That is a better attitude to have. And this is something our senses crave for. So these are the things, I would say, the pitfalls that our senses fall for, right? Honor, praise, somebody should say good to us. And, Maharaj Ji used to say that rather than being called good, we should work towards becoming good, right? अच्छा कहलवाने से अच्छा बनना ज्यादा आवश्यक है. ज्यादा नहीं आवश्यक है, अनिवार्य है. In fact, it's mandatory. Rather than being called good or seeking praises from people, it's better to go for becoming truly good. Okay, and then praise, there was a story I think I told about it, right? About praise as well. The attitude towards praise should be like we should be neutral towards it. First of all, it cuts into our punyas, which anyway are very difficult to acquire. Secondly, it's not a good thing, because then you develop a hankering towards it. And when you don't get a praise, you may even get disappointed. Okay. Uh, so there was a guy, right, who was, I think I told this story previously as well. So he was, somebody comes to him and gives some gold coins, that can you take care of these gold coins? I have to vacate my house because of some reason. I may come back after a year or so and then claim it back from you. So he gives him 100 gold coins and then leaves. And then after a year he comes back. So this guy had put it in some kind of a container in his house and buried it, that okay, whenever he'll come, he'll take it. So he comes back, and then when he comes, he starts counting it, and he sees 88, 89, 90, and so on. About 98, two gold coins were missing. So this guy says, you are a thief, and starts abusing him, accusing him, and all that stuff. So guy was like, okay, whatever it is, take your money and go. And then this guy goes away. And then when he goes back to home, he sees where he had stocked up these gold coins. There, the two coins were found. And then he realizes, no, 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 this guy was very honest. It was a mistake from my end. And then he goes on telling, you are very honest. It was a grave mistake that I did, and start saying a lot of good things to people around. So everybody says, we are a very honest guy and sorry about that. So this guy says, तुम्हारी प्रशंसा को भी खाक और तुम्हारी निंदा को भी खाक. It's like, I don't care. I didn't care about your praise, and I don't care about your criticism. I'm equal to both. That is the attitude we need to have. Otherwise, our senses have a tendency to hear good things about ourselves. Can you please say that? Right? So this is another thing that could be tracked. Circumstances. right? We are, our senses always crave for favorable circumstances. God, can you please make it easy for me? This is not happening. So we ask or we crave for favorable circumstances. That is what our senses crave for as well. Okay. And I mean, it's not a complete list, just to give you a flavor. And then success, of course, nobody likes failure. Now, failure has depth, success does not have a lot of depth. So it is said that there is either success or a learning, and we are attached to that success part of it, and then we look down upon failure as something bad, right? So these are some of the things that our senses crave for. Now, the point here is, now if we are craving for this, let's continue to build on that. We do crave for it. Now, if you don't crave for any of it, you're already there, right? But the fact of the matter is, if you don't get any of this, typically something happens inside us. Now, sense pleasure is when we crave for something. Let's understand sense pleasure, and I'll put together something that might make you hungry if you have not had your dinner or early breakfast. So it's like a sandwich made of two dry loaves. Okay, and in between the loaves, there may be some butter or spicy sauce, which seems tasty or yummy. The bread loaf on the two sides is tasteless or not even palatable. Okay, typically bread loaf is not palatable. You need to stuff it with something to enjoy it. Now, what are these loaves? The first one is the hankering, and the second one is the lamentation. Now, what is this hankering? The pleasure we describe in sense gratification, it's largely the grief from the torture of hankering. Yesterday, we spoke about that story, right? This guy who was hankering to smoke, and then he created a itch or a misery. And then on getting that, that torture of hankering was removed, and that is considered as the pleasure. Was there really pleasure? No, right? He just came back to the state that he was in even before that hankering kicked in. And how does that work? I want it, I want it. Mind is whipping us. Get it, I want it now, and so on. And on the other hand, what happens is, and again, the mind starts feeling on the lamentation side, oh, it got over. I don't want it to go, but it got over. Why did it go over? Got over, and I want more, but I can't get it. And then there is lamentation. So lamentation, this is how the cycle unfolds, right? So this is sandwiched. Basically, these are the two loaves which do not have anything in them, but we have attached our mind to it. And so it gives us these feelings, either hankering or lamentation around it. And of course, that pleasure that we get in between. We will talk about the real and the real pleasure, okay, separately. But then this stuffing itself has its own limitations. But the loaves that we are talking about is something that we keep on trying to enjoy this sandwich throughout our life through different things. Now let's move on and talk about the sense gratification, which is also called bhog. I don't know why, what happened these two. There are three possibilities. What are these three possibilities? The first possibility is that it is not attainable at all. Okay, when I say it is not attainable at all, now think about it. From senses that you create, right? From a sense object standpoint, for example, um, can our eyes see enough? No matter how much we see in one town, we will be keen to see another town. Right? People have a very fond of traveling. Let's go out to this place and see that and see this. Have you seen a movie and said, okay, I'm kind of satisfied with all the movies. We want variety. We want to see more. Even if you have gone to a lot of towns, now you want to go to another country, you want to explore that. Another continent, you've looked at North America, now you want to go to Iceland or maybe Europe and want to explore that as well. And if humans had a choice, like there was a race between Richard Branson and I think Elon Musk, not Elon Musk, but this Jeff Bezos, who's going to reach out to moon first. Those are the kind of aspirations they have. We'd like to go to other planets and so on. And people are crazy to go to Mars, right? I'm seeing some people have started buying real estate there as well. That is what people would do basically, because now eyes are like they want to see more. Seeing Earth is not enough. Now, forget about that. What about other galaxies, solar systems, and so on? We cannot see everything. There will always be a limitation about these. So the desire for attainable things creates craving, right? If either you would see something and say, oh, I'm done seeing everything. But that craving will continue because it is not attainable. It is infinite. How long would you go and say, okay, I need to see this, I need to explore that, I need to experience this? Infinite. It's just not attainable, right? Because it is like pretty vast, and you continue exploring your life, still you will say, I needed to see something more. And those sanskars will be there in next lifetime also. You'll continue to be a we are already traveling in 8.4 million. On top of it, we add some more travel within earth and other things, right? And it continues. This circus continues. So what are the second possibility? Not palatable. Now when we say not palatable, what does that mean? um Second, I mean, this is the second possibility, palatable in the sense that, let's say we want to eat something, continental food, Thai or Mexican, then we go to different restaurants, and then that also doesn't satiate us. We eat it, we don't like it too much, then see the food was not up to our expectation, and then we will keep on trying different restaurants, and that continues basically, right? And that also, it's not like, okay, now it's enough, and this is the only kind of food I would like to eat. Even that sense does not give us that satisfaction that we are seeking for. We studied hard to get a job, and then we realize we actually don't enjoy it that much. Or for that matter, any sense object we could attain, but did not get that much enjoyment from it as we expected. So that palatability is also a cause for concern. Or what is the third possibility from Bhog, right? It is not retainable as well. Not possibility, I think they are the three eventualities, the things that happens. From a attainability standpoint, if you look at it, then the sense objects that are attainable and palatable, they are not retainable, right? For example, that again, the desire to eat rasgulla, you took money, you went to market, found the shop, bought the rasgullas, then you came home and ate the rasgullas. Now they were attainable when he had, they were palatable as well. But for how long? Now they would expire if they weren't eaten within a certain time frame. And even if you are having it, after a while, you will say, I have had it enough, right? Because you are too full. So you cannot retain the pleasure that you got when you ate it for the first time, right? Similarly, the person who wants to have a desire to look very beautiful, they may go to a doctor and get the surgery done, or let's say they are born beautiful, and then they, went ahead and participated in, let's say, Miss World, Miss Universe contest. But then who remembers who won it in 90 or 92 or 94, right? Even an ex Miss Universe or Miss World, they will not look pleasing to the eye in old age. I mean, on the other hand, they may even look repelling, right? So you can't even retain that. So even though it may be attainable, it may be palatable, but it is temporary. You cannot, retain that forever. And anyway, if someone does, how long in human body they cannot retain anything for a long time. And similarly, everybody has to die as well, right? So that the third condition is something that attainable, that will kick in, even though the first two are met as well. Even the houses we build, the families we have, everything will be left behind when we leave the body. So nothing is retainable as well. And that is the limitation of bhog, or the sense gratification that we go for. Yes, Samira, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Okay.
Uh, Regarding this slide, I have a question that given a point, you gave the example of food, right? So, given for the fact of the matter that we are in a position to choose food or healthy, so-called healthy food or diet or whatever, the brown rice or white rice or whatever. But when there is a person who is not in a position, for takes for example a beggar or whosoever, so how can we like how can we like sorry how can we connect the dots with this slide to a beggar who doesn't have that choice of making the choice?
So that's a good one. Who doesn't have a choice of making a choice, huh? So here we are talking about people who can afford sense gratification, even for them, right? So we are calling out the limitations of the bhog. So let's say when you have a choice, if you don't have a choice of making a choice, will that make you satisfied? Anyway, you will have that craving around it, right? Unless you are satiated in some way or another. Here, it's more about when we go for sense pleasures, it does not satiate us. It just limits it from that standpoint, right? Now, beggar would, of course, when their basic necessities themselves are not met, I think that goes out of the equation in the discussion that we are having right now. For them, attaining 3 meals a day, that itself is a challenge at that point. The topic here is more about when you go for the sensual pleasures. What are the limitations of it? You can't retain it. First of all, there is no limit to what you can go, you can go seek for, what you want to keep seeking for, whether it is what you want to taste, what you want to experience through your eyes and stuff like that. And and then it is not palatable as well, because you cannot retain that, right? For example, even if you are enjoying something right now, you're not able to hold on or capture that forever. Eventually you have to, it goes away. So it is going to lead up to the discussion of what is true bliss. Okay, what is the feature, or what are the attributes of true happiness? But you're talking about beggars here. Beggars, I don't think they like going to the Maslow hierarchy. It's all about humans. They're not even in a state where they can indulge here, right? So for them, surviving itself is a battle. Here we are talking about people who have enough to survive, but now they are indulging. They need more than what they already have. And that's where our sensual indulgements are told to be limited in that sense, because that will not give you pleasure at all. So beggars, we are talking about people who are at a, probably from a basic need standpoint, they are at a neutral point or a positive point. Beggars are probably on the negative side, where they have not even reached the basic necessity or the basic needs that they have to, survive, or to even think about getting to these levels. I don't know what I said, but hope it made sense. Yes, Shilpaji.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji sir. I'm trying to connect this to the concept that we learned for Shreyas and Priyas. So if we're talking about the indulgence of the senses and then the retainability, just if you don't mind, can you try to connect it? Because then wouldn't everything be Priyas?
Everything
Because
would.
then in that sense,
So
nothing in the senses is retainable.
true. So see, our senses right now are like wild horses, right? They are going after their sense
Mhm,
objects. So when you talk about
mhm.
Shreyas and Prayas, that can only be exercised through your discernment, right? Which goes back to, who's the governor of your senses? It is mind.
The mind,
And who's the
yes.
governor of your mind?
The intellect.
Intellect. So if your intellect is convinced that this thing is not good for, it may be good for me, it may give me pleasure in short term, but it is not good for me in long run, then what will it tell its mind? So whatever instruction it gives to the mind gives to the senses, and your senses will put a full stop there only, right? For example, let's say you are very hungry and you really like
Mhm.
rasgulla and you have been fasting. So you are
Yes.
waiting the whole day that, okay, let me get over with my fast and then I'm going to have a gulab jamun. Okay. So the fast is about to get over. The clock is going to hit 12 p.m. or whatever that, the moon has come, whatever the case may be. Now the fast is coming to a deadline, and somebody comes and serves you a hot gulab jamun, that too with rose water and garnished with pista or something like that. So the very thought of gulab jamun is going to make you salivate. That means your mind is fully absorbed in the gulab jamun, right? And your tongue is saying, okay, I just need to sink my teeth into it, right? And the fast is over. So is there anything that
Mhm.
can stop you from eating that gulab jamun?
The intellect, the mind, the intellect.
Why would your
Because
why would your intellect stop you? Because you are hungry. You have been really, gorging on the thought of eating that gulab jamun, and here it is. You are hungry. It is hot, and it is perfumicated with rose water, garnished, and what would stop you from eating it?
well, at that time, then I have to decide what's more important. Is my hunger more important or the reason of fasting more important?
Yeah, the fasting is over. Fasting is over.
Oh, fasting is over. Then can I eat the
Of
gulab
course,
jamun?
why not?
Is it like,
Yes, of course. So it's like there is no reason. It's like cannon fodder. You would go ahead and eat it, but let's say your friend comes and say, "Hey, there is
if
poison."
there's no concept?
So some friend comes and says, "Hey, there's poison in it." So what will you do? just before
Okay.
taking that bite,
Then
you'll
there's
throw.
a consequence.
Yes, so then you will throw away. Why? Because your intellect has
Right.
come in and it has overruled your mind and your senses, right?
Yes.
So in this case, yes, immediate consequence, and because of which your intellect took control. What our scriptures
Yes.
tell us that, there are things that you have to think long term. If everybody would get a diabetes, the moment they eat a gulab jamun, nobody will eat it. If everybody would get liver cirrhosis, the moment they drink their first tequila shot, nobody would drink ever. But it happens slowly. So arm your intellect with the right knowledge and make decisions. Go for, the beneficial things as opposed to the pleasurable things. If you don't exercise, it is comforting. Your mind will say, take it easy. But then your intellect has to kick in and say, you know what, I need to build a routine if I have to lead a healthy life and if I want to stay younger for a long time and if I want to have more energy. So that is where Shreyas Prayas will come in. And that's where we override our mind and senses with proper knowledge, telling through our intellect that the actions that I perform through my senses should be helpful to me in long run and not something that I'm going for immediate gratification or short-term pleasure alone. Make sense?
So I'm putting that in this chart. So if I have the gulab jamun, it's attainable, it's palatable.
It's palatable.
But then if my intellect's
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
if it says it's not retainable, because that taste is not going to stay in my mouth forever, then I've just taken that gulab jamun and made it prayas. And then everything I can turn my senses into prayas. That's what I mean.
No,
Like, can we?
you're confusing two different concepts here. Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking about the limitation of things that we can indulge through our senses. I'm not talking about Shreyas Prayas. They will always have these limitations, is what I'm trying to say. You cannot attain everything out there, right? Let's say you like to watch movies. You will not come to a point that you will say, you know what, I have seen everything. Like to tour, or let's say. So you will always, because it is infinite. Even in material
Got
world, start going about it. It is not something that
Got
you'll be satisfied and you'll say, you know what, this particular sense I have exhausted. Now I have conquered I have exhausted my craving for vision. Whatever possible
Yeah.
I wanted to see, I've seen that. No more of indulging in vision, the sight, the sense of sight, because I like to travel, but now I've had. So there are things and there'll be varieties your senses will continue to crave forever. That is what non-attainable means.
Okay.
Not palatable means that
Got it.
it's not something that, like I spoke about that example, right? That you cannot retain that for long as well. And then palatable means you cannot retain that particular thing forever. For example, I gave you an example. What was the example I gave on the non-palatable one? Anybody remembers that? Like, for example, you may have studied hard in a hope of a good job, but then you may find your work cumbersome, right? So even though you have indulged in something from a material standpoint, they say like when you do shram in material world, it gives you more shram. And finally, you may say, I don't even derive that satisfaction, what I thought it would give me when I'll study hard or work hard, get this kind of people don't have job satisfaction and stuff like that. And even if somebody has, then soon the dissatisfaction will set in because of some reason. So it loses that taste and becomes unpalatable after a while. That is the
Okay, I get it.
attributes of material pleasure or sensual pleasures that we get. See what I'm saying?
Okay. Yes. So we're always fighting against that infinity in all of these three categories.
True. So now I'm going to lead into the true
Got it.
happiness.
Thank you.
Yeah, which will counter all the three things that we spoke about: not attainable, not retainable, not palatable. Right. So we'll talk about that. Yes, Samji, you wanted to add something?
Radhe, I know you spent quite a bit of time on this one. I will say my thing in 2 minutes to summarize in this slide.
Sure.
One of my Swami used to say in this context, जो चाहते, I'll say in Hindi, then I'll say in English also. जो चाहते हैं वो मिलता नहीं, जो मिलता है वो बाता नहीं, जो बाता है वो टिकता नहीं. So whatever we want, we don't get it. What we get it, we don't like it. What we like it doesn't stay. That's summarizing whatever slide you were saying it. जो चाहते हैं वो मिलता नहीं, जो मिलता है वो बाता नहीं, जो बाता है वो टिकता नहीं. Summarizing the whole slide.
Very true. Very
One
nice.
of my old Swami Ji once used to say.
वो टिकता नहीं. Very true. Yeah, I think you summarized it really well.
चाहता मिलता टिकता,
Yeah.
चाहता बाता, चाहता तो हो गया ना पहले वाला, चाहता मिलता बाता और टिकता, 4 वर्ड हो गए.
Bhata, bhata, milta, tikta. Yeah, very true. Yeah, very true. I think you summarized the entire slide in this one line. It's very nice, Sanji. I think you spoke about it previously as well. I should have taken a
Yes,
note.
I did. I think I might have.
Yes. Thank you very much. Ajit ji, and there's another one in Hindi which it reminds me of another Hindi line of not related to that, but since you said, I said, okay, I don't want to be left behind. I'll say something as well. Okay, so it says that in realm of God, right? When you go to God, God says that तू करता वही है जो तू चाहता है और होता वही है जो मैं चाहता हूँ. तू कर वो जो मैं चाहता हूँ, फिर होगा वही जो तू चाहता है. Anyways, too much to translate. Okay, Ajit ji, please go ahead.
Hey, Nitin ji, every time we are taking example of Rasgulla, but I will cite an example of drugs and drinking, the
Okay.
liquor.
Sure.
In India, certain states have prohibition by laws, and still we find the mass deaths are there because of illiterate, adulterate liquor available or supplied. In Tamil Nadu, recently 45 people died, and there was a debate on the TV. Everybody was discussing what should be the solution, because in certain states, in Bihar also they have adopted. Gujarat, it is already there prohibition, but
Adi.
still the cases. No, not tadi. Desi
No,
liquor
it,
in even foreign.
Ajit ji, in Bihar, yeah, I've studied
Yeah,
there. We used to call
yeah,
it ABCD. You know what is ABCD?
okay. No.
Adivasi cold drink. Anyways, go ahead, please.
Okay, okay. So what I mean to say is that in comparison of Anil Ambani and Mukesh Ambani, I am a beggar. As a human being, we are all equal. You cannot distinguish that he is a beggar or he is a rich or he is. As a human nature, if you board in a compartment full of people, you will try to enter into it. Once you get entered, you will try to seek the seat by hook and crook. Once you got the seat, you will try to get the sleeper, the berth sort of thing. So human nature is like that only. All
What's the
humans
point?
are same.
What's the
My
point?
point is that liquor problem in the liquor problem, government is unable to sort it out.
Okay, got
And
it.
there was a unending debate that what to
Okay.
do. In the mass people are getting destroyed because of that.
True.
So
So now I'll tell you the reason for that. So I got your point. So the point here is that we spoke about it, right? One sense is enough to bring about our downfall. Now a moth can complain that I did not have the intellect to know that this is a fire and I need to stay away from it. An elephant can claim that I did not know that this was a trap set for me because of that, female touch, and because of which I got trapped. So each fish will not know that it is there is a bait thrown to it so that it can get hooked and get caught finally. But as humans, even if the liquor says it can kill, it is dangerous, right? Or the nicotine kills, still we go for it. That means we are not utilizing our intellect there. Now, making rules and stuff like that is one aspect of it. People will find their ways, right? But the point is, as humans, we are not endowed with enough knowledge, or we have not contemplated on it enough, even if it is presented, which results in these kind of things.
no, what I want to highlight that we are all intelligent, and this particular habit is not destroying an individual, but the whole society, because it affects the family, culture, and society
Okay, so I'll
overall.
take, instead of
So
Rasgulla, I will take alcohol examples going forward, if that's exactly what you're trying to.
no, not. I'm just citing an example. These are real
Correct.
incidents
Yes.
happens
Yes,
in India,
it does.
and even you see the doctors and all the high grade people, they are also indulging in this habit.
Right.
It's not only the poor
Unfortunate.
people. Yeah.
It's
Radhe,
unfortunate.
radhe.
Radhe, radhe. Thank you, Ajit ji. It is unfortunate. And in fact, alcohol consumption of that is in our scriptures is one of the Panch Mahapaps. So I would ask, I mean, people who are habituated to it, have we ever had alcohol inside a temple? Would you drink alcohol inside a temple? You'll say, no, 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 we cannot, right? It's a holy place. Now, if you think about it, by the way, I've been guilty of it in my college life, right? I have had my share of shots and stuff like that, even though it did not seem palatable. But I'm telling you, I didn't have that knowledge at that point, right? But if you think about our body, it is also a temple. God is seated within us. So when we truly get that knowledge, why would you treat God to alcohol? And if you truly believe God is inside us, why would we even treat to forget about alcohol, even dirty thoughts or anything of that sort? Right? I mean, it's a very common thing, logical thing to think about, because our body is a temple of God. He has given this to us. Why would you put anything dirty or negative in it? Because it's a home for God. We want to clean it up so that He can manifest, and reveal His identity. So if somebody understands that, they will never do that. Okay, when we grow into that concept, that is where knowledge comes in handy to contemplate on these concepts. And like you said, yes, these kind of vices can destroy families. Right? When you start addicted to something, then they would sell off everything just to get that kick from, whatever they get that. Now, three possibilities we spoke about. I think we probably run out of time. I'm going to spend tomorrow a bit of a time in real happiness. Okay, now let's continue that. So see, the point is that the 6-inch centimeter space between our two ears is not able to discern what is real happiness and what is real happiness. And that is where these problems are happening. So as scripture said, okay, let us give you a framework so that you can measure your happiness against this yardstick and then take a call whether you are truly going for real happiness, or is it real or virtual or the temporary happiness. So what is the framework it provides? It says that true happiness, the material happiness, has these three limitations. We know that we experience it when our senses come in contact with their objects, right? It is temporary, finite, and insentient. It is temporary, we know that it just lasts, finishes off. It is finite because it's not like once you get it and it is forever. And then it is insentient as well. I'll touch upon that as well. And it can never satisfy our divine soul, and that is why we will continue to hanker for it until we get that. On the other hand, the true happiness has these three attributes. It is defined as Satchidanand, or eternal, ancient, sentient ocean of bliss. It has three attributes. It is infinite in extent, it is permanent, and it always remains ever fresh. It's not like it becomes stale, or that law of diminishing returns, like they call it in economics. It is not subject to that at all. So this is the subject rest of true happiness. And with this discrimination, with this discernment, we need to practice and tolerate the perception of material happiness, that okay, what I'm going for is temporary. It is not going to give me the bliss that my soul is seeking, and sail through that. So I like this. You search for happiness, you'll get Krishna. Now don't try it on Google. I don't know who created it, but whoever created it, I liked it, so I thought I'll put it here. So true happiness is in God. Until then, we can continue experimenting with our material toys for as long as we want, but it will truly not satiate us, is what our scriptures are clearly telling us. Okay, so we'll continue on this discussion, or probably introduce the next shloka in the next one. But any further questions on what we have spoken about today, or anything related to the topic? Yes, Sandhya.
Actually, there was a poll for the tool. If we have time, we could do that.
Sure, let's do that. We have time. Poll for the tool.
Dhruvid, I'm unmuting you. And I can share the tool just to remind everyone before we launch the poll. Okay, let me just do that. Is it? Yeah. Dhruvid?
Yes,
Yes,
I don't know. Am I supposed to say something? I thought we just have
But
to
you
run.
can yeah, we can simply remind people of this, and then we can run the poll so that they remember what it was, right? So
Yes, yes, yes.
I think, yeah, people can see this. This was a three-step process for developing detachment. So how many of us have actually practiced it over the last week? Because it was introduced the week before. For that, we are launching a poll, which, Rahulji, can you launch it? It's 24th June.
Yes, sure.
What is the poll?
Yeah, now it is launched.
Do you see it? Or may, well, yeah.
Oh, yes, we can see
Should
it
be
now.
there on the screen now. Yeah.
हटाना, लगाना, हटाना. That's nice.
Hmm.
So yeah, we have 67 participants,
Majority of the people have been practicing all of them.
which is wonderful. 9, 6, 15, 4, 19, 20, 21. Okay.
Yeah, so I think should we end it now?
So
Or
this is good. This is a good concept. Putting the polls, how many are we been able to put to practice, and others can take inspiration from that as well. So thank you for this initiative, Dhruval. So I think most of them are present doing majority out of it. Simple majority says all of them, but yeah, this is a good practice. Removing the mind from material world. In fact, if you take your mind to God, it will automatically remove, because mind is one and it cannot remain in a suspended state. So when you take it to God, it will automatically withdraw from the world. And sadhana is about, whenever it goes back to the world, again get it back, rather than getting immersed in that worldly thought only. So that moment when you realize my mind has gotten away from God is a very important moment, because that moment will tell you that I need to get my mind back. So don't feel bad about it, and then keep practicing it, and then over time it starts becoming better and better and better until your sadhana, it's like they say, right? When you close your eyes, immediately roop dhyan or dhyan, and when you open your eyes, it's like, okay, what can I do now? Something productive, probably save or whatever the case may be. So anyways, okay.
so yeah, this was it. I've stopped sharing it.
Okay.
And yeah.
So any questions or anything you wanted to share about the happiness that we get in this world, and why this we continue to fall for the sense pleasure trap? What is it so enamoring about the little drops of honey that we get from it that keeps us hooked onto it, and not truly make up our mind that the real pleasure is in God? I know it's a journey, but any challenges that we face or any reflections around that? Yes, Rahul, I can tell you my challenges. Yes, Rahul.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. There is a comment from Ajit ji that he suggests to apply this concept for ultimate and biggest material thing, which is habit of mobile attachment, and finally addiction as well.
Mobile attachment, yeah, that is true. I think mobile is the an addiction, yeah. Mobile is, what do you call, phone vrat, right? Who said that?
Yeah.
We need to do phone vrat as well, like mon vrat, phone vrat. I think it's a good practice to have some no mobile zones in your home, and then probably put it in a place over the weekend where you're not checking it with every beep that is happening around us. I've tried it a few times, and I've also called DD digital detox. I started doing it, and one of the good things that happened when I started doing it, I don't know, about 6, 7 years back, was I deleted all of my profiles. Okay, no Facebook, no Instagram, nothing, and it works. It really works, until I got into so many WhatsApp groups, and that is a necessary evil like friction. You can't get off WhatsApp anymore, because it's part of your survival, even to contact with people whom you want to contact with. But yeah, digital detox might be a good way, and phone is the biggest adversary of God, I would say, in Kali Yuga. Right, he's taking away all of his attention from the times that we could have otherwise spent on things, doing productive things. Yes, Sandhya. Yes, Dhruval, you wanted to add something as well?
Okay. Yeah.
No, go ahead first, you raised.
No, I was just adding to this adversary point that just like any other tool, it can be used or misused, right? Like internet. We couldn't have attended these Bhagavad Gita classes without Zoom, without internet. Similarly, there are so many wonderful wisdom of divine knowledge, those nuggets that we get through our phone. So if we can, like utilize it for that purpose, I think that's good, no?
That's true. The thing in itself is not good or bad. Its usage determines so. A knife in the hand of a surgeon can save lives, and the same knife in the hand of a robber can do a lot of harm. So the thing in itself is neither good nor bad. What do you use it for? So that's where the power of intellect and the right knowledge that we
Comes
talk
handy. Yeah.
becomes very, very handy. Yeah, that's right. Like even people talk about money, right? Stay away from no money. If you can use it to put it to good use, then that is also a power of God. Same way, technology, we can do so many things, and at the same time, we can fritter away our time on technology. So, how do you use it is determined by what we associate or attach value to. That's
Like the
where
same Maya is used as a tool for getting closer to God by saints, which
true,
actually takes us away from God as Mayadeen souls, right? So
true, very true. Yes, Durval, you wanted to say something? Let's take a minute each, and then we'll move to our devotional segment with some quick chants, right? At 9:55. Yes, Durval, go ahead.
Yeah, rather, I was actually thinking about one of the previous slides where you had the three possibilities. Um, so it was not initially like connecting. I was not able to make the uh, sort of
Connection.
understanding over there.
Yeah, what does
Then,
it mean?
yeah, but then I thought like, okay, like, are there any more possibilities? And it seems like, okay, you can either not attain it, or you attain it and you don't like it, which is the second one, or you attain it and you like it, but then it won't stay forever, which is the third one. So there's basically no like quote unquote like happy ending with regards to these sense gratification.
Happy ending. Yeah, that is true. There's no happy ending for sure. In fact, yeah, there's no happy ending. You cannot extract happiness because your soul has still not gotten what it has been seeking, and that is why there cannot be a happy ending around it at all. In fact, yeah, go ahead, Rahul. You wanted to add something?
I just wanted to add few announcements, but maybe I can do that after Samji or Tejasvi at the end.
Sure. So it says, what does it says? No, go ahead. Yes, Tejas, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I wanted to add, like you were talking about the usage of the phone, right? If it's the intellect that's talking to you, then you would use the phone in a constructive way, like what Sandhya was mentioning about you can use the phone to get divine knowledge. If it's the mind that is talking to you, you will get into indulgence. That's the one. That's the other way of looking at it. So what you're picking? You're picking what your mind is asking you, or if you're picking what your intellect is asking you.
Pleasure over happiness, right?
Yeah.
Pleasure over something beneficial or something pleasurable. Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So if you use your intellect, you will use it towards the constructive purpose. If you're lazy not to use your intellect, your mind will take over, and that's when you will go into the indulgence mode. So just wanted to add that.
I know that happens. I did my what do you call that extra bit during meetings today. India-Australia match was going on, so I turned it on, and mine was not completely there in the meeting in between, but it was an interesting match anyways. Yes, Samji.
Radhe, if you have the time, I would like one clarification from yesterday's one slide, the subtler, subtlest, and all those things.
Yeah, senses are subtler than sense objects, or sense objects are more
So
subtle
let
than
me,
senses, right?
but the way, maybe let me, you said the soul. If geometrically we go by that one, say geometrically, not the powerful. Of course, the soul is the most powerful. Geometrically, soul is the smallest, geometrically, size-wise. And then the intellect is little bigger than that. Mind is little bigger than that. Senses are bigger than that, and the sense objects. So the question is, in the same geometrical progression, sense objects are geometrically bigger than the senses, or the other way around. Senses are bigger than geometrically, just for the purpose of understanding it.
Geometrically, so how can it be? Let's say you like to see a small ant.
Like the horses have senses in the Kathopanishad, the chariot example.
This thing also.
So the horses are seeing, sorry, not wanting to interrupt you, but horses are seeing the objects all around. So in a way, the objects are bigger, grass and all those things, what the horses see are in this equation. The horses are smaller, or geometrically. So it's about some clarification. I little confused on that part.
Maybe
The
I can
last line.
talk to you offline on that, because this aspect geometrically, when you say, is it absolute size wise you're saying? What if your eyes,
Just for the purpose, size wise.
so size wise your
I
eyes,
know they are the powerful, they go by the powers. The soul is the most powerful, no doubt.
size wise means what? Like gross size wise, or what size?
Yeah, you can say gross wise.
But what, my if eyes are seeing an ant, right? My eye is bigger than the ant then.
Right. So ant is one of the objects.
I don't think it has any correlation between that. It is more of a subtle aspect of it. Now, whether senses are subtler than sense objects or sense objects are subtler, that is debatable in my head as well. So I'll seek clarification for it. But from a size standpoint, of course, soul is the most subtle thing. It's not even
But that lower part is okay, smallest.
Mhm.
But on the bigger side, last two is a problem.
I don't think it
Between
has
the
any.
sense and sense objects. That's the one. Little more clarification.
I'll try to get more clarification of it,
Thank
but we're talking about size, but I don't think there is any correlation. But yes,
No.
the question that was raised yesterday, that was a valid one. I'll try to get answer for that.
Okay, so they fall in the same sequence: soul, mind, intellect, mind, and senses, and all those things.
Yep. Yes,
Just
Chandan, maybe one question we can take from Chandan, and then we move to our devotional segment. You can put in your feedback tracker if there are any more questions. We'll continue on this. By the way, tomorrow is Tuesday. Okay, we might be
Radhe Radhe, sir.
newer shloka.
No question, just wanted to make a point on that, on the senses and sense objects. Sense objects actually controls the senses. That's why I guess they are placed higher in the hierarchy.
Yeah, they are
So
more subtler
that's it.
than that. So yeah, when we talk about subtler, it has nothing to do with whether they are gross or not, right? Because even if we talk about mind, it's not the brain part of it that we are talking about. It's a more subtle. But yeah, to your point, the sense objects actually control our senses. And that is why it is said that they are even beyond the senses. Your senses, they're more powerful than your senses, right? They own the senses as such. And your senses are owned by your mind. And your mind is owned by your intellect. And your intellect is energized by the soul. So that equation becomes a little different there. But yeah, good point, Chandan. I think you brought in some more clarity around it. Aparnaji?
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji. I just had a question or something to admit. I used to do fasting as an austerity on, a few days like Tuesday, Thursday, Chaturthis, etc., all the way until last year. Then I got this new knowledge that I need to consume like whatever is required, like X grams of proteins, and have been focusing, for my health's sake. And now I'm afraid I will not be malnourished if I don't have the protein intake, and I can't do any fasting at all. My intellect is so convinced, but I want to do the austerity to control my mind. How do I get over this?
You want to do the austerity to control your mind, you're saying?
Yeah, as a practice to, control the mind.
So basically, I think the way it works is whenever we listen to our mind or our lower nature, we are empowering the first wrestler. We saw that shot, right? The first screenshot that I had shown today. So every time we are listening to our lower nature or what our mind is telling, take it easy or do this thing, go for the short-term happiness, then we are empowering this wrestler, mind wrestler. It keeps on becoming more and more powerful. And when we negate our mind and say, hey, no, you are telling me this, you go against your mind, then you are empowering your intellect. And soon that is the only way to train your mind. So even Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Abhyasena tu kaunte vairagyena cha griyate. With practice, it will happen. We have to deny our mind. And when we keep denying our mind, then gradually it will start coming under the control, is what our scriptures. There's no magic wand or any kind of a pill otherwise, other than the practice part of it. We have to practice. First, we have to arm it with knowledge. And then we contemplate and practice that, okay, I'm going to deny. My mind is telling me go for that extra helping, but I'm not going to do. My mind asks me to take sugar shot. I'm not going to do it. My mind tells me to take it easy today. I'm going to get up and do yoga. So all these small things, when we train our mind, then it will start coming under control. That is the austerity we have to take up, because nothing comes easy.
Right, right. But here my health is also important and practicing austerity is also important to me. That's why I'm not
Austerity
able to.
does not mean you deny yourself nutrients, right? If you're doing fasting, it help. I mean, if it's making you weak, I would say first you get the required energy, right? People can do fasting, but if it is making them weak, their BP, they have BP problem, it's low, getting lowered, or their glucose levels are getting down. So those kind of things you have to first take care of even before you harbor any thoughts of fasting. And then God is not saying you austerity and give up your life in the process. He has given you this body for your spiritual evolution. But what if you deny this? Even Buddha was, he did not understand until he was doing the fasting and subsisting on leaves, until he saw some village women passing by and saying, that tanpura, just don't tighten the cord too much so that it snaps, nor leave it so loose that the right music or the note doesn't come out. So he understood that moderation is the key. We have to take care of, you have to have your self-awareness around what you need. You can't go so weak under the name of austerity where you can't even do devotion or you can't even progress, right? So that is being naive about this whole practice, being the concept of austerity itself. So austerity also has to be moderated based on your condition, I would say. I tell my mom all the times, I think she's on the session, right? And she's not well, you don't need to fast, right? You need to, jaan hai to jahan hai, right? I mean, if you can't perform an austerity to the detriment of your health and then expect God to say, oh, great job, you are doing austerity, so you have to take care of your health first. That's how I see that. And I think it has been spoken about by Maharaj Ji as well in a lot of his lectures. Yes, Sandhya? Okay, I think it's 10:01. Please fill out the feedback tracker. Let's post it. Rahul, you wanted to say something and then let's do a quick chance because one more discussion and we'll be past 10:05.
The feedback tracker is already posted in the chat. I just wanted to mention about the special evening satsang by Pujya Bhai Shri Ramesh Bhai Oja tomorrow, which is June 25th
It's
from 6
Oza.
p.m. to. Oh, sorry.
I think it's Oza, not Oja.
Oza.
Third.
Oza, sorry, yeah, Oza. So yeah, 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. CST. That is the thing. And then we have the ticket to Spiritual Bliss Family Camp from July 4th to July 10th. So do check it out and register. If you can't participate in person, you can do that online. And right after the family camp, we have the youth leadership workshop, which is from July 12th to July 14th, July 13th. So do check that out also. Yeah, Radhe.
Thank you, Rahul. Yes, Sandhya, let's do the chant, maybe a couple of hands and then wrap it up.
So yeah, last time we did this one. So this time we'll do the follow-up.
Yeah.
छाछ लोभ नाचे श्याम गोविंद राधे मोर साना नाचे गोपी मोह बिच गाधे राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे. So greedy for buttermilk, Shyam Sundar dances, but the gopi makes a face and says, "But you did not dance like a peacock."
Amazing, right? We're talking about God, the Nayak, and he's dancing to the tunes. He made everybody dance. He makes everybody dance, include the god of death. And here he's dancing to the tunes of Gopi under the sway of love. So that's the key message. Beautiful. Yes, Pratusha, go ahead.
राधे राधे.
There.
छाछ लोभ नाचे श्याम गोविंद राधे मोर सान नाचे गोपी मोह बिच गाधे राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे राधे राधे.
Thank you, Pratusha. Radhe Radhe. Okay. Aparna ji, real quick. Go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe. छाछ लोभ नाचे श्यामा गोविंद राधे मोर सान नाचे गोपी मोह बिच काजे राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे. Thank you.
Thank you, Aparna ji, Riya ji. Okay, we can take one more. Please go ahead. Last
Radhe Radhe.
one. Radhe Radhe.
चाच लोभ नाचे श्याम गोविंद राधे मोर सान नाचे गोपी मम बीच कादे राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे.
Thank you, Riya ji.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So very nice. Thank you, everybody. And again, thank you for your engagement and turning on your videos, those who could. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please fill out the feedback trackers. We'll continue on this discussion and I'll see you tomorrow. So good night, good day from my side. Thank you, everyone.